we've been talking about the business before I actually introduced Tim. So let me just tell you a few words about Tim Cooper. And his business is about making games for other businesses. And those games are often included in the marketing area and within the customer journeys. And so I would like Tim to talk about the company for a bit and let us know what you do actually. So what's the company about?
So the company is called Peek and Poke, and we essentially make games for brands. So I like to think of us as somewhere between a digital marketing agency and a game studio. We're sort of some sort of weird mashup of the two. Essentially what we do is we help marketers engage with their audience in a fun way. So that might be B2B brands who have a mailing list that they want to engage, or maybe they want to kind of attract people to their booths at a trade show. Or it might be more obviously B2C brands who have consumers that they want to kind of engage and connect with, or collect lead data from, that sort of thing.
That's amazing. And when I look at the data, like 99% of the customers, they usually have traffic coming from the same sources: PPC ads, YouTube, SEO, organic search, and stuff like that. But I feel like games are actually, based on, how we going with like all the young people and how often they play games now, I think that's the future of marketing. Like, it's a very new thing for me, I love it. Do you feel?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you'd said young people, but I would say everybody, to be honest. I think certainly in terms of our audiences, or the end client audiences, I should say, the people that play the games are, they're all ages. They basically anybody who grew up from the late 70s, early 80s onwards, they're all gamers. The thing is, quite often you ask them, "Are you a gamer? Do you play games?" And they say, "Oh no, I don't play games." And then you look on their phone, and there's Candy Crush, and there's endless runners, and they go, "Oh well, they're not. That's not real games." That's So
the last time I played a game was yesterday. I've got Nintendo Switch. Which is a bit. I'm 32 years old. I've got a 2-year-old baby, but I still got a Nintendo in my hand for like 10 minutes a day, and just to let's say wash my brain a bit and focus on something else than solving problems at work. So actually, I do play games. I even play chess when I run at the gym. I prefer to play when I walk, because yesterday I tried with running, and I can't even properly match the board, I can't.
I think that's pro level stuff if you're playing chess while running.
I did a few moves while running, but I was like, let's just run uphill, walk uphill and play the game that way. Anyway, it's a gym time. I'm supposed to be training, not playing games, but I feel like I can't win with this. So yeah, I'm with you. We're actually quite addicted to games, I would say. And businesses try to, even inside the workplace, they try to put some gamification in place, like some point systems for employees, for example. So what I did in my business, for example, I want my team to exercise more. And we have a board that we collect each time we do activity of let's say climbing or snowboarding, whatever the team likes to do, yoga and stuff like that. We actually put this on the board, and we try to reach a certain level of points, like how many points per week can we get as a team, how often do we exercise, and we have goals of 15 different exercises, and someone can contribute 2, someone can contribute 10, and this way we trying to make...
How are you grading that? How are you grading if someone goes climbing versus someone who does goes cycling? How does that work?
Yeah, currently it is, at this stage, it's like a new game I came up with.
And it's just a bit of fun.
2-3 weeks ago, and it's one activity is 1 point basically. And
you're quite competitive in your office.
We want to. The goal is to make it collective, achieve the goal as a collective. But I bet we will be watching other people and be like, "Oh, someone has 5 points. I've got 2." So I feel like we're gonna be competitive anyway. But it's more like a healthy competition. We don't want employees to fight with themselves, you know.
Okay, fair enough.
But it's about, I came up with this because I'm this kind of a person that I work a lot and it's hard for me to go and exercise. But when I see my team exercising and they count on me to bring some points to the system, I'd be like, yeah, I want to help my team, you know? So
yeah.
And tell me how your day looks like. So an average day, let's say.
Well, I suppose it's quite varied, really. These days, most of the work that I do is I suppose, is directing. So on a day-to-day basis, we'll have various projects running at once. One of them might be an internal project. We might have a few internal projects. Some of them might be client projects. So the way that we operate is we create games that we think are fun and that end clients are going to enjoy, and that their customers will enjoy. And we put a lot of time and effort into building those games and to making sure that they're fun, enjoyable to play. And then the way that we actually the way that we make our money, if you like, is that we license those games, we recolor them or we reskin them. We have a service where you can, it's like a SaaS service, if you like, where you can create your own game for your own business, or we can tailor those games to budget, really. So we're generally, on a day-to-day basis, we are balancing internal development work on new stuff with the client development work.
That's great.
So
can you give me sorry, carry on.
So it's a nice mix of doing things that we want to work on versus doing the client projects that pay the bill, and you know, sometimes there's a kind of an overlap between the two. So yeah, it's quite nice.
Yeah, this kind of product that allows you to customize it. It's like a, let's say, ready-made product that you can customize it for the client. It sounds like a lot of businesses can actually use it. It sounds like it's not an extremely expensive, because if you want to develop a game from scratch, probably it takes more time. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, even if you made a very simple game, you're talking, hundreds of hours, perhaps. I mean, we put thousands of hours into our games usually. So to build something from scratch and to make it good, I suppose that's the real difference. Actually, you could create a simple, I wouldn't even call it a game, but like an activity, and it would perhaps take you a week, maybe two. But what you wouldn't have is you wouldn't have all the polish, and you wouldn't have all the kind of the thought that's gone into the feel of the experience of the gameplay. Yeah. And these are the things that are really important to me. As someone who likes to make games, I want to make sure that when someone's playing the experience, that they get there's a feeling that comes out of it. You want that kind of, we have to talk about in the office about there's like this magic thing that happens when you kind of combine like coding and sort of art and music at the same time. It kind of becomes greater than the sum of its parts and helps, really elicits kind of the emotions. I think this is what the magic of games is they kind of, they bring something out. You get like excitement and, and joy. And I think the problem with making your own games, certainly if you've got tight budgets or tight deadlines, is that you don't have enough time to find that magic. It doesn't. You might get lucky. It does happen sometimes, but mostly it takes time and iteration and effort.
Yeah, I'm surprised, because if it takes companies like years to develop a game, and you manage to create this kind of service that allows businesses to have like a mini game, let's say. And I'm just curious, like, what's the best game you did, from your point of view? What's the best case and the client you had, and what was the project that you are very proud of? And what was the game about? Like, tell me about the case.
Well, I mean, there's quite a lot, really. We have a few different, we call them game engines internally, and that's just the different game types. So we have 12 different types of game, and each of the team have their favorites. I think my favorite is, oh dear, that's hard to say. We've got, maybe I need to think about that one, but yeah, each of the games, they have, you know, they resonate differently with different audiences. But we have a match 3 game, which is a bit like Candy Crush, or I'm trying to think of the name of the other famous one. Bejeweled, that's it. And this is our most engaging game. So there's something about, we've put a lot of time and effort again into making sure that it felt nice, you know. So it's a match 3 game, so you're matching colors and shapes and things, and then depending on how many of the colors you match, you get combinations of things, and there's lots of combos and things you can do to kind of get more points. It's just really satisfying when you're matching the things, when you're matching the tiles, as we say.
It's like a jigsaw puzzle.
It is a bit.
You put it in the place.
Yeah, it's a bit sort of, some end players described it to us as a bit like Zen-like. You know, like you just sort of, there's something about, like, you know, swiping away and crunching. So this game took us quite a long time to build, because we just wanted to make sure that it felt right. And the result of that is that it's our highest engaging game. So I had a B2B client recently. I can't really say who they are, but they're a very large IT business, let's say, and they did a game for their one of their departments did a game for one of their particular target segments, and it had 700 players, but each of those players played it for an average of 4 hours each, which is insane. I mean, we never 4 hours. Yeah, when we just got the results back the other day, and it's we couldn't believe it. It's just a crazy amount of time.
Is that included on the website, this game?
It's not, no, and it won't be. About half of our work is through other agencies, and some of those agencies like us don't mind us posting these projects on our website, and some of them don't like us doing that, and that's
it's not on
that's
the
fine.
Website can or the
I don't know if they do actually. I think some of them do. But it's because, you know, we about half our work is direct with particular clients.
I see this kind of engagement when I look at the data, like, you know, 4 hours time engagement.
That's a real, I mean, to be fair, that's a real outlier. I've never seen numbers that high before. But usually we expect somewhere between, certainly the majority of our clients see numbers of between 15 and 20 minutes each per player. Yeah, so, I mean, that's still pretty high. It's not as crazy as 4 hours, but...
I mean, I often see 1 minute, 2 minutes when it comes to average engagement time on the website. Of course, it depends if it's an e-commerce or if we count the bounce rate in, but it is like few minutes, you know, that's the average, how much you spend on the websites. And definitely, is it possible to actually reward the person that plays with like a discount, for example? Is that possible to design this in a way that someone can win like a free delivery, for example, or a discount?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, when we often recommend to clients that when they're when you're creating a game campaign, you ideally want to have some kind of competition at the heart of it. So you would you want to think about your game as like a funnel, if you like. It's you're taking your player through a journey. So in order to get them to sort of start playing the game in the first place, you want to tempt them in with a prize of some sort. And that for B2C clients, that might be your product or service, or maybe it's an iPad or something like that. Ideally, you want it to be something to do with your service. I mean, the same is true for B2B clients as well, is that if you can give away as the prize, you know, something to do with what you do, then you're attracting in the kind of clients that you would want in the long run anyway. And then once they've kind of started playing the game, that's where what the effort that we've put in, that's where that pays, because people play, they have a fun time, they play again. We try to make our games really, the levels to be quite quick turnarounds. You want to have a quick play, probably fail the first time you play it and think, okay, I'm just going to have another go. And then, that's what we're trying to do. Yeah, if we can do that, you just want to kind of make it quick enough so that they have really, they're just like, just one more go. Then what that means is that before they know it, it's 20 minutes later and they've just
I completely understand, especially when I lose my chess game. I'm like, I need to play another one until I win. Okay, stop. I can't play anymore.
But the benefit from a brand's point of view is you're getting that engagement time. You're getting that kind of there's two things really. You're getting that time spent with the brand, if you like, but you're also getting that kind of brand feel. I wanted to say this. If you get this,
interact with the brand because of the game, it gives you nice emotions, and then you associate the logo and the brand with those emotions, like with the game. It is. I believe it is. It is a very big part of the marketing, and I would say this is like the middle of the funnel, when people discovered your business and they just now staying around it to see if the business is any good and if they match, if they, that's, we need to bring people back to the website. We need to bring people back to, to their company so they can actually make a purchase. And that's
exactly
of bringing them back.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was a quote, I think it was Maya Angelou, who said that people don't remember, what you say or what you do. They remember how you make them feel, And I think that's true with brand and with games. Brand isn't, the logos and things. It's the how people think about you. And adding a game to your marketing is about kind of, just kind of increasing that overall feeling in your audience's mind's eye, So the way they work really well is if you've already collected your lead and you want to sort of, when you're nurturing those leads, if you can give them a game at some point in that journey, then that's you're giving them a positive emotion. You're giving them a kind of a reason to engage with you. Where they also work really well is, customers. So if you have some past customers, and you want to re-engage them, or reward them, say, thanks for being a customer or a client. You can run a competition for that audience, and if the game is good, I mean, then it's a genuine gift, right? You've given them a bit of fun. And that's why I think it's just worth putting the time and effort into making the game fun first up front.
Even without selling anything. Let's say, I remember the game that Chrome actually launched years ago when your internet is down. There's a dinosaur that you can play. I don't know if you ever played the game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course. Who hasn't?
Guys, if you don't have an internet and you don't know this game, I mean, sometimes just switch off your internet, go to Chrome and press spacebar if you see no internet message. And you can play and jump as a dinosaur. And actually, sometimes I had no internet for some time, and then my internet went back, and I was like, no.
You too, yeah.
No way, I want to continue playing. And Chrome has no reason actually to implement the game. They're not selling anything. They just they're trying to make me feel as a user, as a customer, just add some emotions to the experience.
Absolutely. You remember that Chrome had that fun thing. And that's the thing about Google. I mean, Google often do, though, their Google Doodles. They often have a game, don't they? And it's about generating that. They don't have to do that. There's no business reason, really. If you put it in a spreadsheet, it would be like, oh, well, this is a ludicrous idea. But it's people remember that. They remember that kind of that fun time that they had messing around on the Google Doodle one day. Like, and it comes up in conversations, doesn't it? It's like it's a reason to use Google rather than one of the others. It just sticks in your mind. We find this with our clients. They often talk about. We were speaking to a client recently, and they were a regular client for us pre-COVID. I don't think COVID was very kind for them. So they've recently come back, and they were telling us that people just asked them about the games that they used to do. This was several years later. They did a game with us. They did a few games with us pre-COVID, and their customers were saying, "Oh, when are you going to bring the games back?" It really had a positive effect on their audience. Their audience really loved those games. They want to engage with the brand in a fun way.
I totally agree. That's why when I met you first time, I was like, I want to be around this person, because marketing is currently so repetitive, and we need to stand out, and we need to actually build some connections with people. People don't want to, if you see a message, we have a discount, 25% off, and you can purchase now. Like, that's not enough anymore to convince people to make a purchase.
Yeah, well, I guess marketing has to be repetitive, doesn't it? Because you have to keep showing up. You need to be consistent. You need to be reminding people that you exist. And it takes time to get someone from that kind of first meeting through to that end goal of making a purchase and then beyond.
Yeah,
right? It was
usually 7 and
the 7. Yeah, it was the Google 0 moments of truth. Is that what it was? I think. And it's that whole 7 hours, 11 touch points, 4 locations. So if you can do that, and I do think that a game is a way to kind of help you along on that journey. It's that if you're
all of those interactions that make it interesting.
Absolutely, it's one of your touch points, one of your locations. And it's 15-20 minutes of that 7 hours. That's quite. We often find it's quite hard as a business to sort of when clients come to us and they say, okay, I love the idea. It's great, but how do I prove the ROI? And it's that's kind of it's a brand exercise, so it's quite tough to do. But if you can say, well, look, we've engaged your audience for 15 minutes of this 7 hours. I think most people don't think about this, though. They don't, we just sort of I think about this because of course it's my job to, but I think often it's quite hard to prove that to somebody who wants to see what what return they're going to get. I think they only really feel it after the experience, and it might be a year later where someone goes, "Oh yeah, I played that game you did, and it was really stuck in my mind."
Yeah, I think let's say that probably someone learned today about a new way of engaging with customers, and let's say they would like to implement like a game in the marketing strategy. Do you feel like it's best for them to actually start researching by themselves and come up with the idea and stuff like that? Or it's better to approach your company, let's say, and ask first about the possibilities and then design the strategy? What do you think is better?
I would say, first of all, you want to make sure you've got all your other marketing ducks in a row. So if you're not doing your kind of regular marketing activity, you're not... you haven't got your website sorted, and you haven't got you're not regularly, engaging with your audience in some ways anyway, then you probably want to do that first, unless you go to trade shows. So a game is great at a trade show. It doesn't matter, if you're a startup or whatever, a game at a trade show is a great way to kind of engage people in. But if you're talking about online digital activity, then definitely you want to make sure you got all your other ducks in a row. And then a game is a great way to sort of punctuate all your other activity. If you're doing one for the first time and you're sort of considering weighing up, building your own from scratch versus using something off the shelf, I think that depends on your budget. If you want to do, it depends on the experience. I think if it's a very simple game, and I'm talking more like I would describe it as a digital activity, like a quiz or something like that, then you'd certainly, you could start with building your own. It's probably going to be way more expensive than you think. It's going to take more time than you think it's going to take, and therefore it's going to be more expensive.
Yeah, with everything. I mean, but if you make a game together with you guys from scratch, let's say, you can actually design it the best way possible, because as a marketing person, they usually understand the audience very well. They've been with the company for a few years and they know what's going on. And if they connect their knowledge with your knowledge, you can actually create quite a powerful marketing tool and a game that people love. It is worth.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think in my previous company, we used to do bespoke games for brands all the time. And that works often, but sometimes, but to be honest, more often, what you end up with is you end up with a situation where you either run out of budget or you run out of time, because because the problem with making games is that it's hard to get to that. It's hard because it takes iteration, it takes time, it takes finding fun fun doesn't come from an idea on a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. So you have to test that assumption of what might be fun and then iterate on it and keep going. And if you're building a game from scratch for a particular marketing campaign, eventually you're going to hit a deadline. You just might not find the fun. That's the issue that happens. Whereas if you're taking an off the shelf approach, then the fun's already been found. You already know what you're going to get, right? And then it's a case of can you apply your marketing, your campaign message to that brand, to that game. Is that game going to be a good fit for the campaign? Is it going to how can you maybe what you want to do then is just take the game and rework the campaign around the game. And this often happens with us, actually, is that sometimes a client will come to us and they will want to do a particular game. They've had an idea, but then they come to us and then they see some of the examples that we've got. And go, actually, well, we weren't that, we weren't like, completely married to this idea. We'll do this other thing instead. This is much more fun. Yeah. We can sort of rework it. I think
sounds like an opportunity to design a few campaign ideas around your game and also include it in some of the services that people can actually look at the campaign and see how it works before they make a purchase, like get an idea of what kind of campaigns they can perform. You know what I mean? Like show to people this kind of possibilities, what they can do with the game. Probably you did that on your website anyway with your use cases.
Yeah. We've got that. I mean, I think the thing about a game campaign is it generally tends to be quite ephemeral in that what am I saying? It generally tends to be quite ephemeral, and that people will play it, but it does have a certain shelf life. For a lot of the audience, they'll play it for a while, and then after they've mastered it or they've got to a point where it's got to at some point you become tired of it and you want to move on. If you're for higher budget games, then the way you combat that is you have more levels and you have more content, and you're constantly evolving the experience as the player goes through. In our case, we've got marketing budgets. They're fixed. We can't create a 80-hour experience for people on their phones. Yeah. So it's always going to have that kind of finite shelf life for each player.
Thank you, Tim. I mean, it was 9 o'clock when we started, and I had an amazing start of the day. It's early in the morning, and I'm speaking to someone who's more experienced entrepreneur than I am, and I learned a lot. So
I'm not sure about that.
Trust me. You deal with nice clients, and you are in a very difficult industry as well, because you design things that need to be working on multiple browsers as well. I can imagine sometimes different browsers. I mean, now they all on Chromium engine, but like 5 years ago, they all had a different, about a little bit different rules. And it was, I bet you have a lot of challenges within the business, but you're doing well, I feel, from what you say.
Yeah, I mean, every business has its challenges, and this last year especially has been challenging for everybody, really, especially in the marketing world. I mean, it's everybody's had their budget cut. It's tough out there, but we're still going. It's looking like there are some green shoots now. I think that with election past and in the lead up to Christmas, things are picking up. Definitely. I mean, so we're quite a seasonal business anyway. Most of our work is Christmas games for clients. So we're used to having this sort of up and down throughout the year. That's quite normal for us.
I see. I mean, a lot of people compare themselves for like 2, 3, 4 years ago, and that's where the COVID was. And we had a lot of consumers in front of the computers, in front of the mobile phones. And actually, e-commerce sales went up a lot, and now they settled down to a standard way how it was before the COVID. And a lot of people are comparing. When I looked at my customers' data, especially with e-commerce industries, they compared themselves to 2, 3 years ago, and that's what was a different period. That people were not traveling; they've been spending money on a different way. They've been consuming a lot. Sitting at home, because being bored, and it's actually a data from HSBC Bank. So it's I'm talking about the real data, and now it drops down a little bit and it's settled, and now we need to start again, like building the marketing and sales. So it is a bit challenging. Plus the inflation that is not really helping. But I feel like it is slowly improving at the moment, which is good for the businesses and people.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's, I would agree with all of that.
Thank you to you for your time. Have a lovely day, and thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, David.
Thanks. Bye-bye.